Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this workshop. It's 3 p.m., so we can start. So this workshop is about uh, getting more familiar with developer tools of your web browser. The title is Everyone Needs to Know How to Use Web Browsers Developer Tools. And yes, I mean it, everyone. My name is Jose Rashnu. I am a front-end developer, and I'm also a mobile app developer. I create cross-platform mobile apps with React for the past 4 years. I have experience with many more languages, many more frameworks, including .NET family, including Java, including Python, and a lot more. But for the past few years, I was working with front-end technologies and specifically React and React Native. I'm working for Vonix Internet, a digital agency located in Frankfurt. I live in Germany. And here you can see my email address, so you can reach me with this email address. Today, I'm going to present this workshop for you together with my dear colleague, Adam. Adam?
Hello, I'm Adam. I'm a developer. I mostly write JavaScript. I've been working in OneX Internet for the last 2 years. I'm working from the sunny Spanish Atlantic coast, where we have our lovely seaside office, and sometime remotely. I'll be reading the questions in the chat and try to interrupt Hossein in a useful way in this presentation.
Awesome. So, as I said, the target audience of this workshop is everyone. Let's get to them one by one. So, backend developers, yes, backend need to know how to use the developer tools, especially the performance tab, the security tabs. You need to know if you're a backend developer, you need to know how to check the security of the website, how to have some reports, how to analyze your website, so if you can have a better communication with your front-end devs to improve the performance of your website, and with DevOps to have a more secure website. Front-end devs, of course, everyone knows that. You need to know how to deal with your elements in the page, how to increase the performance of your website, how to monitor the network calls, and a lot more. If you're a front-end developer, you definitely know that it's super important for you to know everything about the developer tools. And front-end designers, so we know that you can just use the inspector to see the components, to just add CSS, remove CSS, but it's not all that you can do with developer tools. You can do a lot more. So for instance, let's say you have some UI issues that happens in like a fraction of a second, and for you, there's almost no way to debug that unless you know how to use the developer tools, how to pause your web page, and then give yourself more time to debug your UI. And everyone, yeah, I mean it. If you're a PM, PO, or a client for a project, you need to know how to test your app in some special condition, how to block network requests and see if the page still looks good, how you need to be able to just check the security of your website. If you are none of the above, if you're like my parent, retired bankers, you still need to know how to use it, because sometimes you're just using a website and you see that, oh, the login page is not working and there is no error there. You can just debug it. Yeah, it's simple. I teach my parent to do that, so you can also do that. So let's get started. I'm going to use Chrome for this workshop because the Chrome developer tools has more feature, in my opinion, than other browsers. And I don't see why I shouldn't use that. Yeah, of course, our users will use many different browsers, but we're developers and we can just use Chrome for debugging and analyzing our website. So let's have a sneak peek into the workshop. I'm going to show you how to use the Performance tab to had a lot of reports about the speed of your page, the frame per second rates, about the memory usage. You can see when the frame per second rate drops and why is that. You can see how you can debug the CLS issue, how you can get some reports. And you can even, I will show you how you can see the timing of your JavaScript code. You can see the time each line of code takes to execute. So if there is something that there's some heavy process for in your page, you can fix that. I'm going to show you how to use the memory tab to debug the memory of your browsers tab. Sometimes your project have memory leaks, and after a while your web page gets slower and slower, and at some point the browser decides to kill the process of your tab, and this is not what we want to happen. I will show you how to take a look at the memory, how to compare different snapshots of memory, and get more and more details about memory of the web browsers tab. Also, I will walk you through the having debugging JS, having breakpoint in the JS. I will show you how you can properly debug your app in the web browsers. And I will explain many tricks here about pausing the execution of the app, about adding DOM breakpoints, and about adding JS breakpoints. So
Right, let's start with Performance tab. So performance issues are tightly related to user experience. Things can be too slow, links can be moving over the page, make a poor experience. The animation rate can be problematic. What tools have we got to help us to understand where are the issues, and also to see how it behaves in other devices than the ones that we are using?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Yeah, sure. I'm just trying to find a window here. I will explain this in a few seconds to you. Okay, so let's start with the Performance tab. Let's see what we have here. So as you can see, first of all, this is a small app I created just for this workshop. And there are a few examples with issues it help us to just use the developer tools and understand it better. So here, as you can see in my page, I have two text, top text and bottom text, and I have some images here. Let's say these are links. Actually, I forgot to make them links, but that's fine. When I refresh the page, at first it's here, then I try to click on it, and then it goes down and down and down. And it's super bad for user experience. It's a CLS issue, if I pronounce it correctly, cumulative layout shift. And you should avoid that as much as possible in your website. We can try to use the Performance tab to get more details about it and try and have some idea how to fix it. I'm not going to fix it here. The fix is easy, but I have just 45 minutes to explain many things about the developer console. So this session will be just about more explaining things than fixing things. On the left, I have this nice animation with almost 3,000 pieces of elements, look like paper. They rotate, they move down, and as you can see, it's like a bit laggy. I can change that, actually. Let me just make it a bit less. Here, oh, I have 8,000. Let me just make it 1,000. And you can see it much faster. But the question is it really like this real-time 60 frame per second in every devices? Because right now I'm using a high-end laptop, and I don't think that this is the case for all the users of my website. They use a mobile phone, they use slower, older PCs, laptops. So I need to just make sure that this can run smoothly for all of them. So let's get started. I open the inspect panel, open the performance, what we have here. So here we have the record button. We can start just recording and collecting some data here. I will use that and I will explain the data later. I have this refresh button, which refresh the page and then start actually recording the data. Maybe I just want to have the data at the beginning of my page load, so I can just use this. I can clear the data. I can export, import reports. I can ask it to have a screenshot here. I can ask it to give me some data about memory, about web vitals. I will explain this later. I can just delete the reports. And here I have CPU and network throttling. So I told you that I need to see if the animation actually works good on all devices. So I can just come here and ask it to make the CPU 4 times slower or 6 times slower. And as you can see, it starts getting more laggy, more like slower. I don't want this. I want it to work perfect on all devices. So I can select the CPU as 6 times slower and then get my report and then try to fix the issue. I can also add network throttling and make it slower. I have all these options. By default, I have some JavaScript samples, but I can disable it. And I can have this advanced payment instrumentations, which, as it says here, it makes the report slower. So if I want to use this option, I just need to focus on this report and not the rest of the reports, because it won't be that accurate because it will be slower. So let's just increase the animation to 6,000. Go back and get a report. I want to have a report after loading, or I need to actually, to make it look better, I just need to separate this window and then get my report. That will look much better. Just a few seconds and good. Okay, so what we have here. First, let's take a look at the screenshot. As you can see, this is after my after loading the page. I can see that I don't have any images between top and bottom, and I can clearly see the CLS issue. And then the animation starts, and then the images get loaded one by one. At top, I can see these green chart, or whatever the name of it is. It's about frame per second. So when it's higher, it's almost reached the top. That means it's 60 frames per second. When it's lower, that means it was unable to load the frame in 60 frames per second. So these are the frames that they have issue. I need to figure out why my CPU was so busy that couldn't render the page in 60 frames per second. At the bottom, I have this graph here. The yellow one is for scripting. You can see the data here. It exactly tells me what the different color means here. This is about the CPU. So I can see, for example, in this range, my frame dropped to more like here, 73 frames per second. I had almost high scripting time and system time, almost no rendering or painting time. If I have painting or rendering time, I will be able to see it here in this graph. For example, here I have some painting, rendering, scripting, and loading time. So what these item means here. Loading is the time that the page needs for the browser tabs needs for making requests and parsing HTML. Scripting is for parsing, compiling, and drawing JavaScript code. And it also includes the time for garbage collection. Rendering is about the styling and layout calculation by the browser. So the browser needs to do some calculation to show the element correctly to you. You need to just add the proper styling, make sure that based on your code, the element is actually in the correct place in the page, and all this stuff. Painting, yeah, it's for painting, compositing, resizing, and decoding images. So in each part of this timeline, if you have a high usage of one of these items, you can just select the range and then investigate more. Why I have this much time for scripting here? You need to find out what's going on and try to fix it. Before continue with the rest of the report, let me show you something quickly. So we have a website called csstriggers.com. CSS property actually takes different time for the layout, paint, and composite timing in different type of browser and different states, like the initial change and the subsequent updates. Some CSS properties are more expensive for the browser to change. So if there's a way to try to avoid that, it's better to do that. You can see all the data here about it. csstriggers.com, you can use it. So let's continue here. What else we have here? We have some tabs here, bottom up, call tree, and even log. Make it a bit bigger. Okay, bottom up. So in this tab, we can have more detail, more breakdown of CPU activities. It shows low-level types of activity from bottom of the call tree, and it sometimes show the native browser functions. You can just reorder it, open each item, read the detail about it. You have the access to the exact location in the JS of each item. For example, this one, I can just open it. I see the timing here, each line. Just this update took 110 milliseconds. This is too much. I need to spend some time, realize what's going on here, how we can optimize it. And yet I have all the reports I needed. These are more about the animation, how the translate, the rotate happening by JS. And I have all this data to be able to optimize my code. You can see all the data I have here. Other than that, I have call tree. It show you the time like this, but also you have it show you in also the subtasks, so you can have an overall view of the whole time, and then also open each item to see the details, more and more details, until I find out what is the main reason of this time here. And even like it's also the for example, the most reports, as you can see here, are about this this package I use, confetti, for the animation. It also gives me more details about the animation frames, the timings, and also still I have the JS link. I can open it and I can see which line it takes more time to get rendered. What else? Yeah, so we have the data about frames here. You can see exactly for the frame per second. For example, here is 29. So for that, I can just find it in the actually I have this little red rectangle here that told me that something horrible happened here. The frame rate was so low. I can just select this range and then go through the reporting, see the screenshots, check the functions that happened in this range, and then try to fix it to avoid having frame rate drops. Other than that, I can see some screenshots here. So sometimes I'm going to show a trick here to you. Sometimes I need these screenshots. There's almost no way to save them, so to report them to other team member. But there is actually a way, because each of these developer tools are also like a web page, so they also have a developer tools for themselves. So all I need to do is just to come here, more tools, developer tools, and check this shortcut for the developer tools, Control-Shift-I, and then go back to the previous developer tools, hit that button, Control-Shift-I. But this is the developer tools for the previous developer tools. I can open the application tab. I can navigate to frames, like this, open images, and then get all the screenshot I need, and then save them. Yeah, this is something we can do. Other than that, I can delete this report. I can get some data about memory. Let's just record another file, and yeah, you can see the memory result is this one, yeah. And what's going on when I had more usage of the memory, or I can just get some reports with web vitals. It just told me more detail about first paint or FP, first contentful paint FCP, or largest contentful paint LCP, or layout shift LS. So if I need those details, I can just use these checkbox. I think that's all for the performance tab. Let's move on to the next.
Right, so the next one is the memory tab. So what about memory leaks? Sometimes you get errors either from a front-end framework diagnosis or a Google tool that state that your app has a memory leak. Are there any tools to help debug memory issues?
Yeah, I have that tool here in the developer tools. And I just need to use memory tab. So here I have is in this page. In this page, let's just start with memory. So sometimes, yeah, as Adam explained, the page have memory leaks, and some my analytics tools or the Chrome console tells me that I have memory leak, and the page will, when I have a memory leak, page goes slower and slower, and at some point the browser kills the process of the tab. I don't want that happen. I just want to make sure that I have my variables can get cleaned correctly with garbage collector, and I want to make sure I don't have any memory leaks. And to do that, I can use this tab. I have this option to taking a snapshot of the memory and then look into it and see the variables, see there. Let's actually try it. I just click on the record. It gives me a snapshot, and I have this view here. These are all the variables in the memory at the time of taking this snapshot. So here in the web page, I have this button for adding 10 date object into the one variables. So right now, if I search for date, I don't see the variable because I haven't added that yet. So let me click on it, take another snapshot, and search for dates. And you can see I have 10 dates here. Let me open it. And here you can see each one of those variables. In the details panel, it tells me the name of the variable. It tells me, if I scroll down, it tells me where exactly this variable has been allocated. It's here in this file, and it's on click of this button. And let me go back. There's a lot more detail here about the memory address and many more detail. But something cool we can do here is to add to compare different snapshots with each other in this tab. So let's say now a few things happened, and I just want to see what's happened to the memory. Did my new item get added to the variable, or did my previous variable get correctly cleared by garbage collector? I don't know, but I can try it and find out here. So let's try to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more dates, which means 50 because it's, each time is adding 10 dates. Let me record another snapshot. Let me search for date. I have 60, but I can compare it to the previous snapshot. So here it tells me I have 50 news, nothing deleted. The difference is 50, and the size on the memory and all the data. So if I remove it, then I should be able to get and snap another snapshot and then compare it and make sure that garbage collector actually deleted my variable. Here, I have the option to actually trigger the garbage collector. If I don't use it, I'll abandon this variable and then go to another place. The garbage collector should be able to delete it. That is not the case in my page, but if that's the case in your code in your web app, you can try that. The other item here is allocation instrumentation on timeline. I can use this option to actually see what exactly happening in real time in the memory. So if I move my mouse, you can see how many data adding to the memory. If I move my mouse here and then stop doing anything, you can see nothing happen. And then I click here. These are my dates. I click here, you see? It exactly show me what's happened, exactly show me what has been added to the memory, what has been removed to the memory. I can select this range and see, yeah, I have 10 dates added to the memory in this place. I have 10 more here, or I have 30 in total. Yeah. So this is the way to find out the memory leaks. You can try to get a snapshot at the beginning of the loading of your page and then get one at the when you did everything and you expect to everything gets cleared by garbage collector. Get compare the snapshot and see which variables still is in there and cause the problem. Okay, let's move on to another tab.
Right, so the application tab. I use the application tab to keep an eye on cookies, on local storage, on session storage. It's very useful for like a whole class of issues. Can you show us what kind of tools that we have for that?
Yes, of course. So, just a second. Yes. So we have this tab here for application. Let me move to another example here. So I'm just going to quickly explain a few items here, the items that I believe can be useful for you, because we have about just 15 minutes left. I need to be faster. Okay, so we have manifest here. This comes from your project's root. So for example, for me is here in my public folder is a JSON object. It's just a short description of what is this web app, the name, the icons, the theme color, and all this information. And you can, yeah, you can see that here is actually also giving some warning that it says that I'm expecting to see icon with this size, but the size is wrong. Also about the theme color and all other useful information. Usually this is not something that we want to check. This is for more like bots or that some services that want to get some information about our website. So let's go to another section. Storage, I have local storage, session storage, cookies, and as you can see is like a database view here. So if I add something to the local storage, I will be able to immediately see this here. I will be able to change it to whatever I want. It won't get updated in real time. I just need to switch the tab, and then you can see it actually get the correct value even if I refresh the page. I can add a session storage. I can see the value here. I can add a cookie here, and I just need to switch the tab, and then you can see the value here by double clicking on each field. I can just edit them, do whatever I want with them. I can right click on them. I can delete them. Sometimes some issues happen in the web page is because of the cookie. I don't need to go through the code, through the network calls, and make sure that I don't add the cookie into the page to be able to debug the issue. I just can delete it here and see what's going on. So it's really helpful for debugging. I have access to IndexedDB, WebSQL, and all kind of storage that web browsers give me. I have access to view cache data for storage and application. These are about background services, push notification, and the rest. I'm not going to explain it. We have a lot more to cover. And I have a frame which gives me all the resources, categorized by their type, like scripts, images, and everything. So let's move to another tab.
I want to move to security. Yeah, I've never used that tab. So how do we diagnose security issues? What is it that we can see in this tab?
So this security tab is more for DevOps, for backends. By the way, I'm just activating a poll into the session. Please go and vote there. I just want to see who are the audience of this workshop. Thank you. So let's go back to the question about the security. This is more useful for backends and DevOps. There you can see the issue about the SSL, get more detail about the encryption protocols, and see this, the certificate of the web page. So to do that, let me just use this website here. Oops. @SSL.com. So if I go to the security tab here, I can see that homepage have a valid SSL certificate. I can see the certificate. I can see the encrypted protocols it's used, all resources have been securely served. And here I have more detail about the connection, about the certificate, and all the details that I need to be able to debug my certificate issue. Let's just open one of these pages with issue with certificate. So for example, this wrong host. If I open this, you can see that it immediately tells me that there is an issue. The HTTPS is broken. It's not secure. There's a problem with certificate. It's missing. So I can just check what exactly the issue by seeing the current certificate. I have more detail here and everything that helps me to find out what's going on with the certificate. So for example, this one is self-signed. I can open this, get more details, and all the information I need. Since we have a few more super important tabs, let's just move to the next tab.
Right, the network tab. I use it all the time. We check responses, the status of calls, errors, what's the data that you used, we're using in our apps. I'm curious to see what else is there that you're using.
Yeah. So here, actually, let me just open my company's homepage. I want to tell you about the network tab here because in my small app, I don't have that many network calls. So here, what do we have here? Well, if I refresh the page, I can see all type of network requests here. You are familiar with this, but I'm trying to give you more details, maybe some hidden feature that you didn't know that exists. So you can start recording for a specific range of time. You can add preserve logs, so you can just refresh the page and still have the logs. Disable the cache, add network throttling, just to slow down the speed of the network and see if all of the network requests are still working or some are having a timeout. And when you are at throttling, so people on mobile data maybe have some problem with this. I have more options for this network throttling and other stuff here. So this is the same feature, but I also can change the default user agent of the browser. Let's say I just want to make it like a Mozilla browser and see what kind of response I can get from the endpoint. I can change the accepted content type here. And I have many more filterings here. So here, first here, I can just use wildcard to have search my network request. So for example, I can say, and you can see that I have this option. But I have this checkbox here, so I can invert the result. So the result will be everything except this one. I can just hide the data URLs if I don't need them. Usually I don't need them. Why I should want to check them in the network request. I can filter network requests based on their types. I can just see the ones with blocked cookies or the one which has been blocked, or I can just see the third-party request. Something cool that they can do here is to use a short key. Oh, first of all, yeah, of course, I can use just drag, click and drag my mouse to just select the range of time and then see the network request there. Other than that, I can use a short key, Control-Shift-P, to open this menu in the console, and then search for Show Network Request Blocking. This is really awesome for testers, for clients to block some of these network requests and see if the pages still can load properly. So I can just scroll up to select one of these networks requests like Google tag. I just type Google, whatever, everything about Google. And then clear, refresh, and then check for blocked request. And then you can see everything with Google in it has been blocked. And I can just take a look at the page if everything still works fine. We have just 3 minutes, and I'm really sad because I have a lot more to cover. So let's just move to other tab.
Right. So those three are the most used by front-end developers. The elements for the studying the markup and see changes. The console where we read the errors and we write to the DOM or read from it. And it's also debug what you find useful.
Yeah, your sound was a bit broken, Adam. So yeah, I'm going to talk about sources, console and elements tab. I will try to be as fast as possible here. So what do we have here? We have a panel for debugging here. I will show you in a few minutes. I have an overview of the all files categorized by their folders, or for their domains, or by their extension of Chrome. I have the console here. Of course, I can click on the each console log link and then see the exact location of the error, of the link, of the warning. I can use filtering, and I have, of course, the element console, which I have access to all elements. So I want to quickly show you a few tricks here. So in JS, I can use a debugger keyword to statement to have the JavaScript debugger in my console. So if I click here now, you can see it immediately opened this file for me with the debugger statement in it, and then I have access to the debugger buttons. I can move to the next step. I can go in, go out, one level up, one level in, and I can add a variable here to watch the changes. I can see my breakpoints here if I add some breakpoints. You can see I have one here. I have access to all the data of the current scope. I can see all closures. I can, based on these variables here, I can use them in the console. So let's say if I have a local variable here in this block, I can just access them in the console and do some stuff for it. I can modify the variables here in this panel. I have the call stack. I can just go back in time and then see how I reached to that place in the console, and then of which function called this function, called that function. I can add some automatic breakpoint on different XHR requests on DOM breakpoint. I will show you in a few seconds. Or CSP violation and the rest. So let's move to the other example. So I have this image here, I have a button, when I click on it, I expect that it changed the image. I click on it and then somehow it gets removed. I don't know how, what happened here, but I can debug it and find out. So I find the element in the console. I have the option for adding breakpoint on DOM elements. So in my case, I'm just going to add this option, sub-tree modification. So when a child gets deleted, I should be notified. Let's see. And it immediately tells me that, yeah, this is the problem. This is the line that remove your element. And this is, yeah, really cool thing to do. Let's move to another example. Pause the JavaScript execution. So let's say you are a front-end designer, you're working just on UI and you have an issue. When the page gets loaded, your card is like black for a second, and then you can see everything correctly. You have no idea what's going on. Is it because of the stars? Is it like because it doesn't have the data and you don't have enough time to actually debug it? But something that you can do is that you can pause the JavaScript execution to have more time to actually debug the issue here. For that, we have a short key control /. You need to be in source tab, refresh the page, and then hit those buttons to stop the execution. So let's try this. As you can see, it just stopped somewhere, but now I can easily just debug the layout and see, okay, there is a mask here. That's is the cause of the issue, but after a while, I don't have this mask. So I can just add a breakpoint here, continue the breakpoint, and then see, okay, this line is the line that removed the mask. So I know I have all the information and I can fix the issue now. Other than that, we have a lot more tabs to cover and we don't have any time here. But if you click on these three dots and then open more tools, you can see there are more windows that gives you more ability to debug, to have more data about your web page that you can use. To cover everything about developer tools, I need days, not hours. And other than this, we always can have some tabs which are coming from Chrome's different Chrome extension, like tabs for React, for Redux, and many other frameworks. So I hope that you enjoyed this workshop. I'm sorry that I don't have enough time to go deeper in these topics. I hope that you take something from this workshop. Is there any question? Just checking the QA section. Look like there is no question also. And Adam, sorry to interrupt you. We can't hear you. It's super broken. Your connection have some problem. So I'm just checking the votes. Like 55% are backend developer, and 23% are front-end developer. But the cool thing is that we have 11% non-technical others. So yeah, I think I'm happy because yeah, the session obviously was for everyone. So thank you all very much. I think there is no question here. And just a second, I'm just checking a few things here. Okay, fortunately it's not working for me. Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if a few things is not working around here, or I'm not that familiar with the Hopin platform. I wish you a great day. And as I said, you can always reach me via my email address. h.rational@1xinternet.de. Have a great day and bye.